Lauren Windsor, who does the show Undercurrent on the TYT network, has done a brilliant job of exposing what has happened at a Koch summit on June 16th. Now, these are the billionaires, Charles and David Koch. They bring together their top strategists, top Republican politicians. Sometimes in the past, they brought together Supreme Court justices as well, all the different branches of government that they have bought, and incredibly rich donors. And the donors basically tell the politicians how they're going to vote. Now, recently we saw that Mitch McConnell said that that the Republican Party would be nowhere without the Koch brothers, which is pretty much right. Those are the guys who help fund their unpopular policies and get them elected by giving them a ton of money with which they buy deceptive ads. Now, we have more developments in that story. First, we're going to start with Richard Fink. Well, he is considered their top political strategist. He was introduced in this group as their grand strategist by their MC, Kevin Gentry. Let's give you first a little sampling of what he said here and how he views people that are not in that incredibly opulent hotel room.
I grew up with pretty much very little, okay? And I worked my butt off, get what I can. So as soon as you feel like on the street and not doing it, you'll say, listen, get off your ass and work hard like we did. We did it.
The audio, as you can see, is hard to hear, but it has been transcribed if you're watching the show. And there he says about people in the street, he says, I worked really hard. Why don't you get up off your ass and work hard too? That's their dismissive attitude. By the way, they shut down the whole hotel to hold this convention, paid nearly $1 million, about $870,000. That doesn't even include their security and everything else, just to rent out the whole hotel so they would have some privacy as they got together in their smoke-filled or non-smoke-filled rooms and hatched their conspiracies on how to take over and buy our government. So here's a guy saying, I worked my ass off. Now, that's hilarious because his job is to kiss Koch brother ass. So you worked your ass off at kissing their ass. Wow, that's a really hard job. God, you're such a hard worker. And he has this mentality of people who aren't rich like them and can't afford to shut down a hotel at $870,000 for the weekend. Well, you just didn't work hard enough. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg in baddie ideas. We're going to next go to Charles Koch himself, who's going to tell us his thoughts.
Challenged me that what would you do if you weren't afraid? And that was at a time when David and I were put squarely in front of the firing squad. I don't mean just over on the side as they did in hot shots. We were squarely in front of the firing squad.
Isn't that amazing? These guys who have combined around $80 billion, $80 billion, they think that they're the victims. The poor Koch brothers, they're crying there to their billionaire friends. Oh, we're right in front of the firing squad. You guys are the ones buying all the politicians. In the last election cycle, they use a lot of dark money, so it's hard to trace. At a minimum, they spent $400 million buying our government, buying our politicians. And then they say, oh, poor us, we're the victims, we're in front of the firing squad. So now in the next clip, he's going to talk about how they're libertarians, they're against crony capitalism. Then I'll tell you the reality. Watch.
So to truly help the poor and the economy, we have to eliminate cronyism. We have to eliminate welfare for the rich.
He seems like he's saying the right thing there. Eliminate cronyism, eliminate welfare for the rich. Hey, great. Look at that. They're being principled. Nonsense. Charles Koch personally founded the Institute for Energy Research. You know what the Institute for Energy Research does? It defends oil subsidies that go to, you guessed it, Koch Industries. That is cronyism 101. That is the definition of welfare for the rich, where the richest oil companies in the world, including Koch Industries, that has business in the oil industry, get subsidized, get money, millions of dollars from the American taxpayer goes into their pockets. Oh, we should stop that. That's really funny. Hey, you politician over there, make sure you vote for my millions of dollars in subsidies so that you can pay me off for this wonderfully lavish weekend I'm giving you. No, they love crony capitalism. They're the purveyors of crony capitalism. And they get these guys who kiss their ass and call it a think tank. So, oh yeah, look at all my smart people that I got from my think tank. Here's another one, Will Ruger, who's going to make an insane analogy.
Clearly see the difference between free societies and collectivist regimes in this nighttime satellite image of the Korean Peninsula, where the collectivist North is literally in the dark due to its poverty. This is what collectivism is.
So he's saying we're going to wind up like North Korea if we don't, if we raise the minimum wage. So if we pay workers a little more than $7.25 an hour, that's it. All the lights are going to be off. We're going to be like communist North Korea. In fact, Fink, the main grand strategist here, is going to take that analogy and go further with it.
It's the main retreat ground for totalitarianism, for fascism, for conformism, when people feel like they're victims. And what we do is we take away their jobs and we make them dependent. So the big danger of minimum wage isn't the fact that some people are being paid more than their value added. That's not okay. It's not that it's hurting small business. That's not right either. But it's the 500,000 people that will not have a job because of minimum wage. Because there is no such thing as a dead-end job. As Martin Luther King said, a paraphrase, every job is an opportunity. Okay, it's a start. And now what they're doing is we're taking these 500,000 people that would have had a job and putting them on unemployment, making them as part of government programs, and destroying their opportunity for earning success. Okay, so we see this is a very, very big part of recruitment in Germany in the 20s, when the Germans were crushed by World War I. The Allies put a very strong settlement on that. They lost their meaning in life. And if you look at the rise and fall of the Third Reich, you can see that they're partying, they're losing, they don't know what to do, whatever. And what happens is a fascist comes in and offers them an opportunity, finds the victim, Jews or the West, and offers them meaning for their life. Okay, the nation, Germany, the superior race. And they get into law schools and professors and people who do the most horrific things. And this is not just in Germany, it's in Russia, in Lenin and Stalin's Russia. And then now, I mean, this is the recruitment ground for fascism. And it's not just historical, it's what goes on today in the suicide bomber.
Now, if you just read all the text of that speech right there, or heard him in the background, he just said raising the minimum wage would lead to us becoming Maoists, or like Stalin, or like the Nazis, or like suicide bombers. So if you, God forbid, you should get paid $7.50 an hour, boom, here comes Stalin and suicide bombers. How do you like that for fear-mongering? These are their thinkers. He's their grand strategist. Okay, now, he then, in the heart of his speech, and this is my favorite part, broke the country down into three groups. He said there's the freedom third, that's very sophisticated. The collectivist third, that's the ones who want to turn us into Maoists and Stalin and all that, by actually working together and caring about your community. And then he says there's the non-ideological middle third of the voters. And he says those are the guys that we've got to appeal to. So, first of all, he explains why they fight for tax cuts and deregulation and why that message doesn't work. That's really interesting. Now, watch, and as you can see here, you got to read.
We want to increase regulations. Wow, we can make more profit. Okay? Yeah, cut government spending so we don't have to pay as much taxes. Now, there's truth in that, we all know. Because we're in the 30% of the freedom fund. But the middle part of the group doesn't see it that way. When we focus on decreasing government spending, over-criminalization, decreasing taxes, it doesn't do it. Okay? We've been reaching the third by telling them what's important, what we think is important should be important to them. And they're not responding and don't like it. Okay? Well, if we do that in business, what do? We want to find out what the customer wants, right? Not what we want them to buy.
Oh, I love that. So he basically says, look, we admit it. We want the deregulation and the tax cuts because it's going to make us richer. He says it right in the beginning there. Do we want that because it's going to make us more money? Yes. Yes, that's why we want it. That's the whole point for all the guys in this room, to make more money. The problem is when you tell regular Americans that, it turns out that doesn't work. No shit, Sherlock. Really? So if you told them, hey, like the billionaires would like to make more money, and that's why they want lower taxes and deregulation, turns out that they don't want to vote for that. Wow, they just figured that out. It's the year 2014. So they say basically, let's not go that way. I mean, of course we're doing this for them. We're not doing it for us. It would benefit them. Otherwise, you're going to have Stalinism and Maoism and the Third Reich, etc. And we don't want that for them. But they're too stupid to understand that. So let's help them understand it better by tricking them, by using different language and not saying why we're really doing it, but give them another reason so that they vote for us. And we get our mission, which is what? The thing he said right in the beginning, so that all of us in this room can make more money. Aha. So how are they going to trick us? Well, here's the last part of that speech.
If we can solve this problem and make it successful, I believe this seminar group will occupy that northeast quadrant. That we know not only be able to achieve superior results through our free market activities, but also earn the respect and good feeling to that middle third. And I think you're going to hear that in some of our partnerships with the United Negro College Fund.
So don't tell them that we want the deregulation to lower taxes because we want more money. Tell them we're here to help them. And that if they just follow what we do, we can earn their goodwill. Yes, of course. And what did the Koch brothers do? They gave $25 million to the United Negro College Fund, and that's what he mentions at the end there. See, that was brilliant. That way they'll think that you're on their side. And then we can get the lower taxes, etc., which doesn't save us $25 million. It saves us billions of dollars. So we take all that money through the politicians we're bribing in this very room, okay? And then we just sprinkle a little bit of it. You know what? We can just call it trickle down. We trickle a little bit of it on the rest of the American population and say, you see that? We're not doing it for our benefit. We're doing it for your benefit. Just switch the messaging. Give a little bit back. It's the oldest trick in the book. The mafia used to do it as well. You steal a lot and then you throw a parade where you throw quarters and change it to people in the streets and they go clamoring for it and then they thank you for it, even though it's money they stole from you. Then here come the Koch brothers and their top political strategists to say, yes, of course we're doing it so we can get richer, but let's make sure we tell them something else so that they'll bother to vote for us and our candidates, go in our direction so that we can make more money. Great job by Lauren Windsor to somehow get that audio so that we can find out what they actually say behind closed doors. So now you know that's their real intent.